Have you ever tried to use an official document, like your degree or maybe a birth certificate, in another country? It can get really complicated really fast, but it's something you absolutely have to figure out if you're planning to move abroad for work or school. So today, we're going to pull back the curtain and make the whole apostille process simple.
Okay, so let's just imagine for a second. You did it. You landed that dream job, or you got accepted into that amazing university overseas. You send in your degree, the one you worked so hard for in India, and then you get that email. It's been rejected. It's confusing, it's frustrating, and it basically puts a giant roadblock in front of your plans.
So what gives? I mean, your degree is real, right? Of course it is. But here's the catch. It's only automatically recognized as valid in India. To an official in another country, all those stamps and signatures, they don't mean a thing. To be accepted internationally, your document needs its own special kind of passport to prove to the world that it's the real deal.
So in this explainer, we're going to walk through the whole thing. We'll talk about the clever international solution they came up with, the huge difference between an apostille and something called attestation, the step-by-step process of getting one, some common mistakes to avoid, and the single most important thing you need to remember.
All right, Section 1, the international solution. So how in the world did we fix this problem of every country having its own rules for documents? Well, it turns out it was through a really smart international agreement.
And that solution is called an apostille. It's a French word that just means to certify, and that's literally what it does. Think of it as a special sticker that the Indian government puts on your document. It's like they're telling every other country, hey, we've checked this out, we guarantee it's authentic, you can trust it. And you have to see this timeline to really get how big of a game changer this was. Before 1961, trying to get a document legalized was an absolute nightmare, a total mess. Every country had its own insane rules. Then, the Hague Convention came along and created this one simple standard system, the apostille. India got on board in 2005, which instantly connected us to this much easier process with over 120 other countries.
And this right here is the magic of it all. This is an official statement from India's own Ministry of External Affairs. And what it's saying is simple. Once your document has that apostille sticker, you're done. That's it. All the other member countries have agreed to accept it. No questions asked. No more running around to embassies, no more extra stamps. It is a one-and-done deal.
Okay, Section 2, apostille versus attestation. Now pay close attention because this is the part that trips almost everybody up. You're going to hear these two words, apostille and attestation, thrown around a lot. They are not the same thing, and knowing the difference is probably the most important part of this whole process.
Look, it really all comes down to one single question. Is the country you're going to a member of the Hague Convention? If the answer is yes, you go down the apostille path. It's way simpler, it's faster, and the final step is with India's Ministry of External Affairs. But if the answer is no, then you have to go through attestation, which is a much longer, more complicated process that involves getting stamps from that specific country's embassy.
So, what does that mean for you? Well, if you're heading to places like the US, the UK, Australia, or pretty much anywhere in Europe, you're in luck. They are all Hague Convention countries. All you need is an apostille. Simple as that.
But, and this is a big but, if your destination is, say, the UAE, Qatar, Kuwait, China, or a lot of other countries in the Middle East and Asia, you're going to need to go through that longer embassy attestation process. Getting this right from the start will save you so much time and money. It's a critical difference.
All right, Section 3, the apostille process. So now we know what an apostille is and when you need one. So let's get into the nitty-gritty. How do you actually get it done here in India?
So, before your document can get that final apostille sticker, it needs a sort of preliminary check. And you actually have two main choices here. There's the state attestation path, which is the slow and more expensive route because it literally has to go back to the State Department that first issued it. Then there's the SDM path. That's the subdivisional magistrate. This way is much, much faster and cheaper. Now, for most countries, the SDM route is perfectly fine, but there are a few exceptions, like Italy and Austria, that are really strict and demand the state attestation. So, rule number 1, always check the specific requirement for your destination country first.
So here's the journey your document goes on. First, it starts with a local notary, easy enough. From there, it goes to get either that slower state verification or the much faster SDM one. And the final stop on the tour is the Ministry of External Affairs.
they'll look at the earlier stamps, and if everything's in order, they apply that official apostille sticker. And that's it. Your document is now internationally recognized.
Now, here is a super important procedural detail you have to know. Back in 2012, the government changed the rules to make things more efficient. You, as an individual, can no longer just walk into the Ministry of External Affairs and submit your documents. You must go through an officially authorized service agency. They're the only ones who can handle that final submission for you.
Section 4. Common pitfalls. Okay, let's talk about the common mistakes that can get your application rejected. Knowing these ahead of time can save you a world of hurt, and get this done right on the first try.
So what are these simple, silly mistakes that can end up causing massive delays?
Okay, here are the big ones. First, submitting a photocopy. You almost always need the original document. Second, if your document isn't in English, you have to include an official translation with it. Third, picking the wrong path. Using that fast STM route when you're going to a country like Italy that demands state attestation. And here's a sneaky one. The apostille sticker itself never expires, but some countries will reject it if it was issued more than 6 or 12 months ago. So you've got to check that too.
Section 5. Your key takeaway. Okay, we've gone through a lot of information, so if you only remember one thing from all of this, please make it this next point.
Here it is, the number 1 golden rule. Before you do anything else, before you even start filling out forms, just go to Google and type, "Is your destination country a Hague Convention member?" That simple search tells you everything. It decides whether you need the easy apostille or the harder attestation. It sets your entire path forward.
And all of this leaves us with one final thought. The apostille was a huge step forward. It took a chaotic system and simplified it for over 120 countries. But our world is getting more and more connected every single day. So you have to wonder, will we eventually get to a point where there's one single universal system, a standard that makes any document valid anywhere in the world instantly? It's something to think about. Thanks for tuning in.